Without further ado, thanks for joining today, everybody. My name is Josh Robbins. Most of you already know me. I'm the CEO of Simple VoIP, and today we are presenting our newest product called Enhanced Analytics. I'm going to go through a very short slide presentation, then we're going to get right into a live demo with some real customer data and show you what this thing is all about. So if you have questions during this presentation, feel free to put them in the chat. Arisa will be responding today. We're also recording this, so you can, and we'll email this out afterwards so you can share it with other associates at your company. What is this product? We call it Enhanced Analytics. Obviously, for those of you who are already customers, we have some call reporting and graphing features built into our admin portal. This takes it to the next level, and I'm going to show you how. Some really cool stuff. I'm very excited about it. There's a lot of data, a lot of power within your call data, inbound, outbound calls, millions of calls are made every single day on this network, and being able to pull that data out, slice and dice it, and make operational decisions for your business can be huge. So what we have is real-time reporting, historical reporting, reporting for both the enterprise calls, your locations, your stores, your restaurants, as well as a whole segment of reporting just for call center applications, queues, and agents. I'm going to handle those in kind of two separate segments here, but it's pretty powerful. So the first one is enterprise analytics. So this is what most of you are probably interested in. It's next level analytics. How do you pull out more information than just what time of day did customers call or what store did they call throughout your enterprise? So what do we have? We've got historical call reports. There's, I don't know, 30 or 40 stock reports built in. I'm going to show you those, and we can build even more custom reports based on your filters and really make these reports personal to you. So you could be the IT group, or you might be the operations group, or even marketing. You can add as many users as you like to the system and really develop a number of custom reports that are going to match the users who are interested in this data. So some of the things we can do is identify some trends. One of the cool things that we have on here is this unreturned abandoned calls report, which I'll show you in a little bit, but it shows you all of the customers that called you. Maybe they called into your store and then you never called them back. You didn't answer the call and you never called them back, and that's something that hasn't been available until now and is very important, especially in retail. If they've called in and they didn't leave a message, you can give them a call back and try to make that sale. The key features we have, one of the big ones is automated report scheduling. So any report that you can build, you can create a real-time report, you can create a historical report going back to the beginning of time. We don't delete data, and you can then schedule those reports with your filters to be delivered on a regular basis, whether that's daily or weekly or monthly, to any email. The emails can be anybody not in the system. They don't have to be users, so just any email. Summary reports with extensive statistics. So we have the ability to analyze call traffic by pretty much any of the data that's in our call records. So what number was dialed, what number were they dialing from, who answered the call in your organization. If you're in a call center, what queue was it terminated on? What time of day did they call? What hour of the day did they call? What city, state, country did they call from? So all of these different some trends. So call volumes, call volume can be pretty important. So when are you getting most of your calls? Are you getting overloaded with calls and getting abandoned calls at certain times during the day? That may indicate that you've got staffing problems. And I know everybody on this call has staffing problems, us as well, so I get it. It's a very difficult time, so tools like this can really help. Can't help you hire people, but it can help you understand where and when you need to allocate staff and resources. Some of the advanced filtering capabilities we have, we can filter by hundreds of different data points, whether it's the DID, the phone numbers used, the users answered, what path, the route path that was taken. which is actually a really cool report I'll show you as well. That's for those that have auto attendants that answer calls. One of the things people have been asking for a while has been, tell me how many of my callers chose option 1 for to-go orders, or option 2 to get the menu texted to them, or store hours and things like that, so they can really understand why customers are calling. We have that capability now. And then finally, ACD and availability statistics, so a whole set of metrics and reports and live wallboards to go into for call center users, so agents and queues. Very, very cool, very, very in-depth reporting that's been missing for a long time, and I'm very excited that we have now. So some of the things we can also do: analyze user performance, so we can monitor performance of staff, and then quickly compare the productivity of your staff. So who's there, who's answering calls, who's available but not answering calls, who's answering the most calls, which agents are taking longer, that may need a little bit more training, things like that can be you can pull out from a user performance basis. And then service level targets, that's really a call center metric. Usually you can put in service levels in your call center. So how quickly do you want to answer calls? And we have, I think, 4 or 5 levels of service levels that we can then report on. What percentage of your calls are answered within your target? Maybe it's 30 seconds, maybe it's 2 minutes. And you can configure that and report on it, both in real time and historically. Talked about the abandoned report calls. This is an application. It's outside of our normal admin portal. If you're interested in signing up, we would give you a brand new login and set you up as an admin user and train you, run a training session and teach you how to do it. It works on Chrome, Firefox, Edge, and Safari, so pretty much all the major browsers. So on to some of the call center analytics for those of you using our Call Center Pro product. Some enhanced analytics. So we have a supervisor that has the ability to see both historical call records and service levels, as well as real-time metrics on their call centers. Some of the very cool things we have are these wall boards that you see pictured on here. We can take data and plug it in real time, both to your computer monitor of a supervisor, or if your folks are in an office like they used to be, you can plug into any TV, smart TV out there, as simply as just plugging in a little Amazon Fire Stick and typing in a little code. Very, very simple. Or a smart TV that has Amazon built in, or the Fire Stick built in. So I'll get into showing you how that works in a minute. Yeah, this is another picture of what the wall boards look like. You can drag and drop and create these wall boards however you like. I'll show you. We've got gauges, we've got percentages, we've got numbers, got a scroller on the bottom, ability to put video in there, and various other feeds directly from your business. Another one on call boards. I'm going to skip this because we're going to get right into the demo in a second. So some of the benefits of our wall boards. So if you're running a call center, you obviously want your KPIs, your key performance indicators, front and center for everybody. You want colors to tell folks that if something's in red, you should address it. Things like longest waiting time. You don't want your customers waiting. And so this is really for help desk or service desk managers to watch. This can do either visual or audible or email alarms if certain thresholds are exceeded. So maybe you've put a threshold of 5 customers waiting in a queue, and if that gets to 6 and you allow it, it will fire off an alarm. It can flash something on the screen to alert staff that people need to log in and answer calls. So very cool stuff, and it's all cloud-based. So everything just like your phone system that you're using from us runs in the cloud. You don't need anything on site for it, but a browser or a TV. We already talked through some of this, key features of that. This is a picture of how it works on a Fire TV. You just get one of these little Amazon Fire Sticks. I think they're like $25 on Amazon, pretty cheap. You plug it right into any computer or any monitor, and now it's a real-time wallboard. So I'm going to touch real quick on the pricing, and then we're going to go right into the demo. Pricing is an add-on, obviously, to your current subscriptions. It's priced based on users, and users are generally the phones. So if you've got 5 phones at each location and you have 100 locations, you're going to have 500 licenses total, or 5 licenses of this essential user license on the top. That's the basic, all you need for historical reports, and most of what I'm going to show you, if you're not a call center user, you really only need this essential user license at $2.50 per month. Everything else here is related to call centers, which are much more customized. But call centers, we have an add-on users, and by the way, back on the essential users, it's every phone that's in your account. So if you have 5 phones or 7 phones, they're going to charge this $2.50 per phone. Everything else is a la carte. So you may have 25 agents in your call center, so you would set up 25 agent licenses. If you want to use the wallboards, you would set up a real-time supervisor, a wallboard, and then you'd have an upgrade cost for that real-time licensing. So for those of you who are interested, reach out in the chat. We will follow up with you after to talk specifically about what this might look like for your business. So I'm going to get right into the demo because this PowerPoint's boring. I'll pause right here before we get into the demo. If you have any questions, please enter them into the chat right now and of Teams, and or raise your hand and we'll unmute you so we can discuss. Assuming everybody can see my screen, I've now changed it to the real-time demo. Yes? Okay. Cool. Let me know if I'm going too fast as well. So this is our enhanced analytics portal. So I'm logged in here, and we're actually going to show you a real-time, real customer here. And what we've got here is along the left-hand bar a number of normal menu items. So I've got my favorites right here, which you can just star. My home has favorites and recent items. Wallboards are down here. All the reports are here. Pre-built filters are here, and then scheduled reports are here. So I'm going to just start with some basic reports here. If you've got any reports that you'd like to see, if they're available, put them into the chat, and we'll try to build them. But what we're looking at right now is let's start with kind of some of the basic ones. Let's start with calls by day. So when I go to a calls by day report, all the reports work kind of similarly in that I've got 2 options to display the reports. Here I can go in a table report and I can go in a graph. Both of these options are exportable. So just by clicking this button here, I can export those reports. And then up top here, I can determine what time set I'm working on and what filter. So I just went to this one defaults, so a report can default to anything. I've got this defaulted to this week, and you can see this is report calls by day. Shows me my incoming calls, my outgoing calls, the percentage of these calls, the talk time, average talk time, the longest ring time. And then let's say I just wanted to look at today. I would simply click that to today and press the checkbox, which would then run the query again and just show me September 17th. So this is obviously real time. As you make a call in our system, the minute you hang up, it pushes it right into this system. So I'll go back to this week here. On top of this, if I want to add filters for any report, you see up here I have a little filter icon, or I've got a drop down here. So the drop down gives us pre-built filters, and that's kind of from over here on the left, filters. I can build pre-built filters like this one here I built for incoming only calls. And if I apply that, this same report, even though this report shows incoming and outgoing, this filter will make all the outgoing calls 0 and only showing me incoming calls. So that filter may not be really helpful for this particular report, but other reports are. When I want to remove the filter, I simply click that X and rerun the report. So in addition, I've got this filter up here. When I click that, I now have a much more in-depth ad hoc filter. So not only the date range, but I could uncheck. I don't want to see Wednesday, and uncheck that. And then I can add any field I want. So, let's just say if I want to do what I just did, the call direction equals, and then it kind of gives me a little helper here. So I'm not just freeform typing. So let's just go call direction equals incoming. I hit add, apply the filters, rerun the report, and now you'll see an incoming call report only. The system shows me up here that I've got a filter applied so that I remember I did a quick filter, and I can always take that off by clicking the X and applying. Now it should go right back to no filters. And I can have as many filters as I want on this. All of these reports are drill downable, if that's a word. So I can go into this yesterday and drill into that. And now it's drilling into another report called calls by time. And it's giving me a lot of data here by half hour, it looks like, during the day. So this data may be helpful for you. It may be easier to look at here in a graph. That makes more sense. So now I can see that I'm getting most of my calls. It's ramping up. I'm getting them as expected. This is a support desk here. So we're getting our calls as customers come in, 8:30 in the morning, start calling us, 9 o'clock, and then it peaks up midday and then drops down. So this is pretty interesting. I can export this and save this as a PDF or a PNG file, and then take that and send it to whoever I like. There's a nice pretty picture. I can then take this. Remember, I can schedule any report, which I'll get into in a little bit. Go back to this calls by time. The other thing I can do here is any of these headers I can rearrange by just dragging, move these guys around, and of course I can click them to sort. So let's sort by total talk time. So I've got my longest calls up top. These are some really long calls, it looks like. So very cool. I can take these, do whatever I like, and then of course export this as Excel. And now I've got a file in Excel that I can do slice and dice and pivot tables and things like that. So that's back to some of the reports. So I go back to my favorites here. And what was that? Calls by day. Let's look at another cool one. How about calls by state? This one filters by state, sorting. Let's say I want to filter by total here, or percentage of total. Now I see that California, Minnesota, Texas are my top ones here. And I can then further drill into the California calls. Remember, now I'm just looking at today because this one, and now I'm going down, I filtered by state, and then it went even further down by area code. So not a surprise, we're located in the 949 area code, and we get a lot of calls calling in from our area. Let's look at this week, or even this month. So the bigger report, the longer it takes, but it's still pretty quick. 5 or 6 seconds for a month's worth of data is pretty good. And now you got some bigger numbers here, and it goes down to every single area code in California that's calling us is showing up in here. So you can see I'm filtered by state here. That's because I drilled in. I could then go and remove that filter that the system automatically added, take California off, rerun this, and now we're going to get all the area codes of customers that called us during the month. So this one's even bigger. So percentage-wise, California is still winning. But You can also add an instant filter to any of these guys. See, there's a little add a new filter. So this thing is very, very user friendly, and there's just a ton of customization you can do. All right, so you see also it totals at the bottom, which is pretty nice. So let's go back into reports. We'll try a few other reports here. Again, if you've got some reports you'd like to see or some piece of data you've been trying to get out of the system or interested in, please put it in the chat or raise your hand, and we'll see what we can do. This is a cool one, incoming calls by route path name. So for those of you who have auto attendants and want to get a good idea of what customer routes they're taking when they call in and they press 1 or 2, what we usually do is we use prepends. So in this scenario, our main number here says if you'd like to talk to somebody about a dispatch, please dial 1, or project management dial 2. And so we put these in here as prepends, which means they show up. On the phones when they ring, but also means they're logged in our call detail records. So I'm going to look at a this week report for incoming calls by route path, and we can see it includes not only the some of these are the actual selections they made, but also some of these end up going to certain people. So I see there's a help desk one, there's an orders, there's a PM, project management. I can sort by these and then drill down. So let's look at PM. They've got a bunch. Of course, I can graph this. And then I can export that graph. And the graph is, you hover over it and it gives you the data. So this is pretty nice here. But let's say I want to drill down anything orange. I can drill down. Let's drill into this PM, and now I'm going to this call list non-segmented report. So it's going to give me every single call and whether they were answered or not. So this guy wasn't answered, but all the rest are. Filtered by call direction still. So you see this quick filters has been built automatically based on my drilling down. So I'm getting incoming, actually, and both call type external and this route path name is PM. I can go and remove those, but I'm drilling down, so I'm going to let the system do this intelligently. Even cooler, I can go in and drill into a particular call, and now I'm getting some pretty cool features here. I'm seeing a number of things about this call. Importantly here, so when was the call? So now this is an actual call. It tells me how long the call was. Was it parked? How long was it ringing? Where did it come from? How long? The green is the talk time. The red is the ringing, and then did they put them on hold? So you really have a lot of power to drill into calls. Who did it come from? Where did it go to? And all the duration and things like that. If there were multiple segments, if this were a transferred call, you would see segment 1, segment 2, segment 3. So I can always click the back button here and go in. Let's drill into another call. Here, so this one actually, also there are recordings on here. If call recording is enabled on your account, the recordings will show up here and you can just click on them to listen to them. I'm not going to go do that to respect their privacy here, but this call you can see came in, there was some talking, and this is the overall call. There was some talking initially, and then they asked to be transferred and it was transferred over to somebody else. And so there's a little bit of ring time and then a transfer. So this really gives you some in-depth tracing of phone calls. All right, I see there's been a couple questions. Keep them coming if you have any. Let's show a couple more reports here. So this is all of the reports here. The starred ones are the ones I've added to my favorites. It is important to know, let's see, I'll show one more number and then I'll show you how we can add a new report. Let's see, I'm going to show the, where is the, oh, the abandoned calls by day. So this is, these are the, oh no, this is a call center, sorry, I won't show this yet. Unreturned abandoned calls. So normal calls today, these are all folks that called in that we never called back, and you get a little information. So where did they call from? The queue number, this would only show up if these are call queues, so call center folks. These would be non-call center, the ones that don't have a queue in there. It also shows who it actually rang if the call had the opportunity to ring somebody. And then I can drill into it and see. So, ring time here, 21 seconds. This is 4 minutes, so understandably that person hung up. 3 minutes, they hung up. The 11-second one, the 20-second one, these guys are pretty impatient. So, but I can. These are folks that called back in. So the application here, this is a service desk, not necessarily probably as useful as if, say, you're a retail organization and you're selling something. Somebody calls in and they don't leave a message, or they let it ring, and you can see they rang for 30 seconds and nobody picked up. If you don't answer, maybe they're calling your competitor. So pretty big. You can see a little bit more about this particular call. This just tells you how long it rang for. And if there was a recording, that just means the system answered it, and maybe so it initiated the call. There's not going to be a recording for just ringing. So only if like an auto attendant or a call queue answered it. Yeah, so this one you could see this just kind of rang. It was ringing. All red is red is all ringing, and this person never picked up because of a timeout. They gave up. Okay, last thing I'm going to show before we get into call center reports is how to create a report. So the system comes pre-stocked with a bunch of reports on here. Pretty much all of these are going to be pre-stocked with you. When we onboard you, we will help you create reports that you're looking for. We'll teach you how to do it, and we'll hand over the keys, and you can go and add as many users as you like. There's no cost to add normal users to log in, administrative users, and then create reports, schedule them. To create report, you click the create report button, and then I've got all these types of reports. So let's just say I want to do a time-based report, and it'll allow me to, it starts with kind of a basis here. So let's go with calls by ring time. And I can add a filter on there. Let's say, I'm not going to add a predefined filter, but let's say I want to default it for this week. But I want to exclude Saturday and Sunday because I'm retail. Nope, I'm actually going to exclude Monday because we're not open Monday. And I hit save and run. Now I've created this report, and it should be calls this week by ring time. So you can see ascending ring time. Good to see that my calls are getting answered quickly. You can see this should be decreasing, and I only have a small amount of calls that are ringing for 12 minutes, 13 minutes. These are some outliers, I would assume, but this is a great report to use for managing your staff. So let's say I save this. I'm going to just look at today, update it. And now it's going to be there. And if I go back and I find calls by ring time and star it, now it's going to show up on my home and my favorites page. So now let's say I want to schedule that report. That's a cool report. Let's go to schedules. Create a schedule. Create a schedule. Call it ring time today. And I can put a description, email to Josh Daly. Click next. I select when. I want to get this Monday through Friday. I want to get it at, say, get it at 7 a.m. Click next, and then I add a report. Let's go find my calls by ring time report. I could add a custom filter. So even though the report itself has no filter on it, maybe I have one of these filters. So that incoming only filter. That one doesn't make sense for this report because ring time only applies to incoming calls. So I'm going to do no filter, and I could change the date range as well. So having a default on the report doesn't necessarily mean that the scheduled report has to be the same. So if I'm going to add that report, I can also add multiple reports. So I can get a morning email every day with 3 or 4 reports attached. I'm going to go and add another report. Let's go my abandoned calls per day as well. Then I click next, and then I put an email address. So I can select any users that are in our system here, or I can just type in a new address. So that's important to know that I can do multiple emails. I can add as many as I want. These can be marketing folks or operations folks that you don't want had to have access to the system, but they've asked for reports, and you say, no problem, let me build you a nice custom report, and we get it at 7 a.m. every Friday. You hit your create, and I'm done. Now I see this report is scheduled, and next runtime is going to be tomorrow, well, on the 20th, because it's Friday, and I said I don't want it on Saturday and Sunday. So I can always edit this report or delete it, but that's pretty easy, as many as I want of these. Okay, I'm going to pause here. Do we have any questions? If so, put them in the chat or raise your hand.
I can also unmute everyone so that they're able to ask questions. So I'm going to do that now and allow everyone's mics.
Let's do that because we've got a pause. Unmute everybody, make it a party.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I still think people are muted, or you've just given them the ability to unmute.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It looks like Eugene, you asked a question about the automated email reports. Hopefully, what I just showed you answered that question. Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, I'm going to move on to the some of the call center stuff. So this is a live Wallboard. So I talked about if you're a call center customer or you're using your call center, you can add on this functionality and display this on the TV or on a computer monitor. So you can pick and choose these tiles and you can move them around. You can do things like, and this is live, so we're monitoring a queue, and I can do multiple boards here. So I don't know that I've configured any of these. No, I guess I have incoming calls, abandoned calls, percentage of abandoned. So I'll go back to this help desk queue here, and then this is in real time. So as you're watching, you're going to see we've got 10 active calls. If I unlock this guy, I now have the ability to move stuff around. So let's say I want to move that there. This is just a logo. I can embed video, although this video does not seem to be playing. I can do a ticker tape down here. I can go and add a tile. So let's say I want to get rid of this guy. I'm going to delete him. He's not working. And it rearranges it automatically. I can go and add a tile. So then it tells me, what do I want to do? A single stat, a circular gauge, dual stat. Dual stat's pretty fun. So let's just do that one. And then you can see I've got all these fields here. So let's just say I'm going to do, let's say, active calls and on hold calls. And hit save. Now down here, you'll see this teal colored one is just going to switch back and forth between active calls and on hold calls. So some people don't like the movement, other people like it. Let's go in here and edit this. There's some other things I can do here. I can do filters. Some of these saved filters, or I can add certain fields to filter on. So really only want to see agent state is, non-ACD called or away or things like that. I can add them. I can change the appearance. So I want to make this yellow background color and dark gray text color. And I can make the speed slow, normal, or fast. And then configure some alarms on here. So if active calls is greater than or equal to 5, let's flash this tile, and I could even make the tile full screen and play a sound. So I'm not going to play a sound, that's annoying. So I'm going to add the alarm here, hit save, and since active calls, so you can see it's actually flashing right now because once it gets to active calls, it's greater than 6. Oh, yeah, there it is. Now it's full screen. So you can do alerts like this that'll just take over the whole screen and really help. That was a bad threshold right there. What would be probably better would be on hold calls. On hold calls. Let's go to the alarm. Is greater than 3 or something like that. Let's see what else. Let's add another tile here. You can see I can do this. Let's see, I can do an image, which I did here, where all you do is just put the URL of an image. You can do a video or live stream. We did the dual stat. Circular gauge is this one down here, where I can again choose an available field here. Let's go agents in ready state, and we're going to save that. So that's a circular gauge. It's if I go back there and edit that, the max value is important. So let's say I want to set my max value to 10, because that's how many people I want to have logged in at any given time. That'll make it a little better. And let's make it purple. I've saved it. So now I've got 3 out of 10, and this looks a little better here. This guy down here is a scroller. I can edit that. And just choose whatever I want. I believe I can do multiple. Yeah, I think I can do a whole slew of scroller type things. Agents logged in, agents at wrap. This is too much data, but let's see what it looks like when I add all these. Yeah, so this is like your ESPN Sports Center bar here. So maybe you want to have less tiles here so they're bigger, and you can have more scrolling down here. So when I'm ready, I'm done. I just lock it, and now this thing is published, and it's going to show up on everybody's screens. I can also, when I unlock it, see if I can do this. Oh yeah, make that full screen. Drag things around. All right, so some of the reports on call center, and I'm going to go kind of quick here because I'm noticing the folks on this call are not call center users. But some of the call center, we're going to just go through 1 or 2 of them. So we do an agent summary report here for this week. And we are, oh no, we're not filtered. So this will show us, oh, this is filtered, right? Let me get rid of this. So I can show all my agents. This is a good summary report that might want to be emailed automatically to call center managers, help desk managers, that kind of thing. So I've got my agent summary here, every single agent, their first login time, all their calls, how many they answered. A key one right here is how many calls did they refuse? And that means that they hit reject call or did not want to take it. That may be an HR issue that needs to be discussed, or just a staffing thing. How many internal calls were made? How many outgoing calls? So these folks are obviously working in inside or incoming and outgoing desk. I scroll down here and there's a whole bunch of other average ring time, total time on duty, busy time, non-busy ACD time, average talk time. So a lot of really cool statistics here. And then of course I can go and drill into a particular agent and get all of their calls. Now we're back to some of the reports that we had looked at for normal non-call center, where you can get all of their calls. Now, of course, you can export these calls today from our normal portal, and you can sort by user as well, but we don't have any, there's no agent reporting or queue reporting. Queue reporting is all built into this tool here for call centers. And once again, this particular call was answered, and we can go in and see the details, listen to the recording, and see how long it was ringing and how long they talked for. Let's see. Queue performance is another one. So that was the agent level. If you go up to the queue level, you can go and look at some of your SLAs. So this particular queue, we've got a help desk queue, a dispatch queue, and a provisioning queue. These are the numbers. You might recognize these queue numbers that are arbitrarily assigned when we created them, and you can see those in the call path reports for incoming calls. So this queue is performing very well. 100% of the inbound calls have been answered. 53 of them were answered within the first SLA. The service level that's defined by you, the users. You can see how many calls were abandoned or overflowed out. If you have an overflow set up, I don't believe these particular queues have overflows set up, but this is pretty powerful data to see. Maybe you're overflowing too many calls. You might need to add more agents, or maybe you need to adjust your service levels. And I don't know that these particular queues are using service levels, but they're in there in the queue definitions. Again, if you drill into this, now you're going into call lists for that particular queue. Were they answered? Who actually answered them? I can sort by them. Let's say I want to do a quick filter and show me everything that was answered by, so username contains, and it doesn't have to be exact, but let's say I see a name here, so I'm going to put that person's name on there. And now I've got all the calls answered by this particular person. Okay. So that's pretty much it here. I know we're about 45 minutes in. I wanted to stop at this point and pause for some questions. If you'd like some follow-up, we're recording this. We're going to send it out to everybody. You can please feel free to share it. We'll probably be posting it on our website as well. If you have other questions, please put them in the chat right now if there's a particular report you'd like to see. And I will build it right now or show it to you if it exists. It looks like your mics are enabled. You can unmute and just start shouting at me if you'd like. Nobody wants to shout at me. I understand. Okay, well, great. Everybody, thanks for coming. I understand I breezed through a lot of this stuff, went pretty quickly. Please reach out to Arisa, who will follow up with you, or myself, and with any questions. If you're interested, we can talk about what it would cost based on your organization, your setup, and how we get going. The basic plan is we will onboard you just like we did when we started service with you initially. We'll take you through a training. We'll configure this for you. We'll build some of the reports alongside with you, and then hand you the keys and let you play with it and do what you like. For everybody who has who is on the call today, we're offering 30 days free trial. If you'd like to be set up, reach out to us and we'll set you up so you can play with it with real data as soon as today or more likely Monday. So. With that, thanks for coming. Have a great weekend and reach out with any questions.